Rick Wagoner, Chairman and CEO, General Motors.
CNBC today, after all the Lehman and AIG stuff that's been going on, and they said on the TV, there's got to be some value in this company, and it made me think, what's the value of General Motors?
Well, the value of General Motors is different depending on who you talk to. First of all, we're a huge employer in communities around the world, and we contribute in a lot of ways to those communities. Second of all, we support not just our own employment, and we provide a lot of very good, well-paying jobs, including many high-tech jobs, which communities around the world are just thinking is the key to the future. Third, we support a huge network of dealers and suppliers. And fourth, we're a source of terrific technology and talent, which could help, for example, lead our industry, which is a critical industry in the world, into the future.
On the forefront of using ethanol, now you're using electricity. You've got a whole group going towards hydrogen. And yet you're also in this downward spiral that you're trying to manage. Do you think maybe you ought to hold off on hydrogen so that you can bring out the volt, so that you can stabilize everything?
Well, we've debated that a lot, but the fact of the matter is that the industry is in a very interesting period, a period of change, a period that we're going to move away from what's almost 100 years of almost complete reliance on oil and petroleum to provide the source of energy for our vehicles. And different people think different solutions are going to win over the long term. I think that's subject to debate which one's going to win. So our job is to make sure we're ready with whichever one wins. We believe strongly that biofuels will be important, certainly over the near term, the next 5, 10, 20 years. We think that developments in battery technology are providing a great future, a much brighter future for the potential value of energy from batteries, electricity. And then finally, ultimately, we think the hydrogen fuel cell offers some very unique advantages. More work to get that into kind of production ready format. So if we want to look down the road 5, 10, 15 years, we really have to be very knowledgeable and capable in all these areas. Some we're spending a lot to tool up to bring to market today, tomorrow, and in 2 years. For example, the Volt. Others, we're not spending so much to productionize them, but we need to continue to develop our intellectual capability, continue to solve problems, so when the time is right, those technologies have the potential to come to mass market. If we don't do that, I would argue we're risking the future of the company, beyond the next 5 and 10 years. And one of our responsibilities is to make sure that we marshal our resources in tough times. But I don't think you ultimately last 100 years or another 100 years by cheating the future.
There's a loan guarantee that you're trying to get right now. It's stalled in Congress. Congress went on vacation, and that loan guarantee is $25 billion. You'll get a portion of that once it's approved. What will you do with that?
Yeah, actually, the loans are specifically to be available only for new technologies that significantly improve fuel efficiency and environmental performance. So for us, products like the Chevy Volt, two-mode hybrid investments, these kind of things would be the kind of things that would be the investments that are allowed to borrow against the $25 billion. And I should be clear, the $25 billion is available to all manufacturers, whether you happen to be domiciled in the U.S. or not, and to suppliers as well. So it's part of, if you will, the country's contribution in the form of loans that will be paid back, by the way, to the massive undertaking we have to improve our fuel efficiency in vehicles. So I'm optimistic it'll get approved, but some work needs to go on to have that happen.
And we could also make the point that this is not a bailout, it's a loan, and you've had, the auto companies have had loans before, and they've paid them back, and the government has made money off of them.
True. Although I would say, before, it was a different circumstance, that the Chrysler loans, quote, bailout, and it bothers me that some people in Congress don't want to look at the facts and want to call this a bailout, because it's not. It was part of the Energy Act last year. The Energy Act was recognized to require over $100 billion of investments by the industry in order to meet these high fuel efficiency standards, which we signed up to. We said we will do that, but they said, and we will make $25 billion of direct loans available to you. So for those who are trying to call it a bailout, I don't think they're looking at it fairly. It's part, it's sort of the government's way to provide some rather small help against the massive investments the industry will make to meet the legislative requirements.
Has the Congress said when they're going to get off their duff and approve it?
Well, I would say I've talked to several people down there, and my colleagues have talked to many, and we certainly have heard from a lot of people their interest in doing it. They recognize that it's needed, that it's fair, and that it is part of a longer-term direction for the country to reduce our reliance on imported oil. But let's be clear, we want to stop the growing reliance the country has on imported oil. We're going to have to do things like this, and the good news, if we do them, we will be able to move the needle over a surprisingly short period of time, in my view. It is going to require strong direction from Washington, hard work by ourselves and our competitors, and consumers being willing to try something new. And I think the companies and the consumers are signed up and willing to go. We need the government support in the way that was previously promised to us.
Thank you very much, Rick Wagoner.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.